Hi, my name is Chris Bosley. It's Friday the 2nd, June 2017. So what I wanted to talk today, I made a couple videos about surveillance videos and footage that was tampered with, that the Anglicans had accessed our video machine and tampered with footage. I made two videos about that, and I just wanted to make a few comments here. One of the comments I wanted to make was I mentioned that I had cameras in our unit, and that I think that they probably had monitored and watched us sleeping, watched our activity within the house while the cameras were on. And the reason I had cameras on is because at one point they had done work on the front of the unit, so they ripped off the front of the units, and the Anglican property manager had organized and gotten all the workers, and so it was probably likely all his buddies or people that he was doing favors for, and all the workers were probably pro-Anglican, likely, and they had the entire front of the unit off for 3 days. So during the night they boarded it up, but during the day it was completely open, and I didn't want anybody coming in and tampering with data. I didn't want them to say that, oh well, everything was open, Chris. It could have been anybody that went in your unit, and maybe that's how all your devices got broken or stolen. Who knows? I didn't want them to say that, so I put cameras up. And the cameras, I got they came in the mail the night before, and the night before they came into the mail, I set them up that night, and the very next day they started construction, and within 12 hours, for some reason the feed on this is really slow. It's lagging. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but my video is very, very slow and lagging. Something's wrong. I'm guessing maybe the neighbors are feeding video over to their unit, so the bit rate is probably low on this. Anyways, I hope it turns out okay. So, because they hack our phones, they hack everything, I wanted to have the cameras up, and within 12 hours they were accessing the device. And I think that the first time I noticed it, was when they were changing locks. So I think what they did was they switched up locks, and then they got them, either one, got keys made, or two, they switched the locks out and put locks in that where they had keys already made. I'm not sure what they did, but easy enough to get a lock rekeyed. So that's why we had cameras in our unit. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the other video I showed a guy walking back and forth in front of the unit, and the reason that bothers me is because that same guy who was helping them crack our system and was providing like a target to show in the camera, he knew what was going on. He must have. That same guy, and he was friends with them. Same guy came back later to me while I'm outside and goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry this had to happen to you, mate." So I mean, it's just shows the character of these people. They knew exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing when they do these wrongs. They know they're invading my privacy, and they do it anyways. They have they don't care whether it's right or wrong. They just do what they're told, and it's been like that since day one. Every single one of the people in this building, including the non-Anglicans, have well, a few of the non-Anglicans were okay, but almost everyone in this building, it is dominated by the Anglican mentality, and they do what the Anglicans want them to do. Every one of the students was involved in this. Either they were throwing, um, like, either they were helping with the computer attacks, or they were bullies, and they were threatening, and they were trying to intimidate and trying to keep your attitude under control, tough guys, and or they were running interference, like distractions. Like there's several people that played doubles. They would dress up like another person, or act like another person, or look like another person, and then run in front of the cameras that we had set up. And so they all collaborated, they all worked together, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they were in full agreement and in full support of each other. They back each other up no matter what. They could be murderers, and they would still get their friends to back them up. What I mean is, for example, another reason why I put out the cameras is, remember I said there was a bullies? well, there was a couple bullies here, a couple tough guys, a couple like sporty guys that do lots of exercise and running around all the time. Well, these sportos, one of them, one day I'm sitting in my room and I hear this kid screaming at the top of his lungs in terror, "My pee-pee, my pee-pee, my pee-pee." And then I hear a door click, and there's a door over in that unit, and one of these sportos always goes to that the bathroom in the building 124 in the corner there, and goes pee in the bathroom. Well, the door closed. Just after this kid started screaming, the door closed, and then the father comes running out as fast as he can, just giving her down the sidewalk. Took him like 2 seconds to get there, and picks up the kid, or starts consoling the kid, and then he starts coaching the kid and says to the kid, "Oh, what happened? What happened? Oh, do you have to go to the bathroom?" "No." But he's coaching the kid, "Oh, it's you have to go to the bathroom." "No." And then the door clicks open, and then the Sporto crap grand comes out again. And the Sporto is, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And then the father sees him come out of the bathroom, and says, "Oh," or it was a charade, and he just wanted it to sound like it was coming out of the bathroom, but someone terrified the kid. And then the father, as soon as the guy shows up, as soon as Crap Grand shows up, the father's like, "Oh, you have to go pee-pee, don't you?" He never said that. If I would have saw that bastard come out when that happened to my kid, I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing, buddy? What's going on here?" And there would have been a problem. But not these guys. Nothing was said. And the kid is screaming and crying, "Oh, you have to go pee-pee, let's go pee-pee." "No." And then when the guy showed up, the kid shut up, never said another word. He was silent, except for a little bit of whimpering, a little bit of crying, and then they went back to the unit. But that's one of the reasons why I got a camera, because I think there's a lot of villainy that goes on here, and I think that bully, that douchebag, Crap Grand, I think he's probably a pedo. If he did what I think he did, otherwise, why would that kid cry? So I think that there's a lot of cover-up in this place, and I think that I told the story to a bunch of these students, and none of them believe me. Not all of them are like, "Oh yeah, I know him, he's a good bloke." Well, I'm on the side of the kid, so unless it can be proved to me 100% that what I heard was just a big sham, like a staged event, what kind of insane person would do that? And that kid's a hell of an actor for, like, what was he? He was like, what, 7 or 8? Heck of a scream coming from a great little actor. Plus, don't forget, he was being coached, and he said, "No, I don't have to go pee. That's not it." No, that's not it. And he was being coached. So that's an example of the wickedness that goes on with these students. And the wickedness, another form of wickedness, is that they cover it up. They don't do anything about it. So, like I said, everybody's involved. And that guy was involved wholeheartedly that day when he's walking back and forth and helping them out crack the system. They want to be a part of it. They want to be involved, right? So they're beating the shit out of somebody, and it's like a gang. For 3 years, they've bothered us, harassed us, cracked our computers. They won't stop monitoring our phones. They won't stop monitoring our computers. And we've been here since 2013, and it's 2017 now, and nothing's changed. So it's very clear to me that they all work together. And new students have come in, and they just pick off where the other students left off. They just pick up where the other students left off. Nothing changes. So the information that was gathered and the knowledge that was gathered about the hacking is packed onto the next student, and then he picks up where the other person left off. So, and there's Anglican I'm sure that the Anglican Church owns buildings to the south of us too, or not buildings, but units in the buildings to the south of us. So, it's very easy for a person that's only 3 yards away in the building right behind us to the south, 126, where I'm in 126 Croydon Avenue. That's only like a short distance away. Easy enough for somebody to crack our systems from over there. So it would be easier for them to do that, to crack our system from in the buildings behind us. So I mean, first of all, there's lots of evil and wickedness in this community that is being covered up constantly. The hacking, the surveillance. I think they have a camera on the other building. I call it the donor house. It's on Georges River Road. It's a big, huge building, and all the property they own. It was donated to them by an old lady who was on her deathbed. I think they put a camera on the wall, and previously they had been hiding it in a window, but I said something in a YouTube video, and days after I said it in the YouTube video, they brought it out and put it on the wall because they don't want to appear as having, covert cloak and dagger surveillance, because that means that they had this camera pointed to our unit and were trying to instigate, and that's what they were doing. They would instigate us, they would instigate me to action or to aggression, and then they would have the camera pointed on me, and they were trying to entrap me by instigating me, the unit next door, Games Spoofly, instigating me by getting me to get angry, provoking me, and then the camera would catch my behavior, and that's what they wanted to do. It was hidden in a window, and the bully that I was talking about, he lived over there. So it was he lived over in that unit, and I always saw him in the window, what, 4 meters away from where the camera was. So he knew what was going on, and he's the one that I think is a pedo. He's the one that came out when that little boy was crying my pee-pee. So yeah, not very nice. Anyways, another thing here I'm going to talk about. The video's getting long. Sorry about that. So cameras in the bedroom, they all work together and they all coordinate their activities, and they all connive and conspire and work with each other, and then when they got caught, they all work with each other to cover up their crimes. And this was another thing I wanted to say was that this happened a year ago, and it's a brand new set of that video that I showed in 2016. That was a year ago. It's already the 6th month, and that was the 2nd month. That was like February. So that was over a year ago. So I mean, that was 16 months ago. So I mean, they did this that long ago, and meaning to me, indicating to me, and implying to me that they have access to information most people don't. I don't know that. I never even knew that they were capable. Anybody was capable of accessing air gap machines, and yet here they were accessing air gap machines. Premier Mike Baird was the former premier. He went to a church, and one of the students that was involved in these hacks, that was involved and friends with the people that were hacking us, he was a student minister at the same church that Premier Mike Baird went to before Premier Mike Baird resigned and quit and took the banking job. So this kid, I think what he was doing was he was helping with these hacks, and then he was transferring information over, because I know for a fact that the government is really balls to the wall about increasing their surveillance of Australian civilians. So this kid, this young male, a real horrible person, he's kind of ratty. He was a student minister at the same church that Premier Mike Baird went to. So he was attacking me and then preaching at the same church Premier Mike Baird went to. And I think that he was probably passing information over, and probably, at least speaking to Premier Mike Baird about all this stuff. Rufus Black is an Anglican. Rufus Black is pro-metadata protection. He championed that whole pro-metadata movement here in Australia, Rufus Black. He's an Anglican ethicist or whatever. He's got absolutely no ethics as far as I'm concerned. But all these Anglicans have, in this that I've met going to the school, have the same attitude. And all the people involved in tech and computers, they all have the same attitude. Their attitude is, I got nothing to hide. And I try to explain them, if they're tampering with your privacy, once that disappears, it's gone. You can't get it back again. Well, I got nothing to hide. I'm not worried about it, mate. I'm not worried. So they got this attitude that it's perfectly okay. They've got nothing to hide, and they trust. But these people are bad. They can't be trusted. These people doing these actions, these people hacking our system, they can't be trusted. That guy that was involved in these hacks, the next door neighbor, if you had seen some of the things that he did, you wouldn't trust him either. There's no way that these people should be given this kind of unchecked information, this unchecked ability. It's unchecked power. They can get into any device they want, and they can do it any time they want, and nobody is policing it. Nobody is watching it. They just do it to whoever they want, whenever they want. It's completely at their will and their whim. And since they know how to do it, they can do it any time they want. So I think this is a real serious problem. I think it has to be fixed. I think it has to be stopped. they one thing that I've noticed, and one thing that is very clear to me, is they want absolute control and absolute power and absolute um, uh, control over all the information. They want to access my surveillance system, be able to delete footage from my surveillance system that I have to protect my home, uh, and they access it and delete it, and they do so without any compulsion, without any compunction, without any guilt. They have no compulsion to stop. They are only obsessed with continuing. They want to gather as much information as they can. They want to know as much about you as they possibly can, but they're completely secretive about themselves. They don't tell you nothing about themselves. They want to know everything about you, but they don't want you to know anything about them. They want to have all the cameras and all the surveillance and all the data, but you can't protect yourself with your own surveillance system. They want to insult and laugh at people who try to protect themselves and try to have some semblance of privacy, when they themselves get all the privacy they want because they have a cheat. They have a backdoor into the systems. Nobody else knows that. Nobody else has a backdoor into the systems, and yet these people have it. So they have a cheat. So they don't want you to know it, and they're trying to keep it secret. And the whole time we've been here, they've been accessing our computers. All of them have the wireless and Bluetooth ripped out of them, and they've been accessing them anytime they want, remotely. They have no morality, and they basically do whatever they want. And it's very clear to me. I went to the police. It's very clear to me that nothing gets done about this. They get away with it. Nobody questions them. Nobody says nothing, and nobody believes you if you say something. So this experience living with these Anglicans has been completely um, terrible, and it's shown me how it's shown me the crazy levels of ugliness that that humans are capable of, and the lies and deception and the hypocrisy of people that run around in holy garments, claiming to be doing God's work, getting their Bible degrees and standing up in the pulpit and standing up in front of the public, and they're nothing but complete liars. And I've seen it firsthand, day in, day out, over and over and over. And I think it's shameful. I think that people should know that the people standing up there in front of their churches, standing up in front of them on Sunday preaching, are horrible people, and they should not be allowed to be around their kids. They're just rotten scumbags. So I mean, who monitors video for somebody's house, in somebody's house? Who monitors video of the interior of somebody's house unless they're sick in the head? I don't know. So I just wanted to show you that video, and I apologize for the quality of it. It's not very good. But the reason I don't have good quality is I couldn't dump it. I couldn't capture onto a computer because I can't use computers. The minute I use a computer, they break it. The minute I get video captured onto the computer, it's destroyed or lost. I can't write it off to a hard drive anyway, so even if I got it on the computer, it would be difficult for me to get it on online, because we had to cut off our internet access. And if I try to tether a computer to the phone, it doesn't work. Like, for example, this phone has on the go, USB on the go, but they disabled it somehow. It has tethering, but tethering doesn't work. It's supposed to be able to tether, but tethering doesn't work. I hooked a laptop up to it and I tried tethering, and the Windows laptop said, do you want a remote desktop session? Well, why would I have a remote desktop session when I'm tethering the computer with a phone? So I think what they've done with this phone is that they've got it hooked up to another system working on a virtual machine, and this system goes through that system. And then if I want a network connection, I go through their system and they feed me the network connection, or something similar like that. And that would explain the lag in the video right now when I'm talking. There's huge lag in the video, and I think that's probably because they're feeding the video over there, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, so there you go. Thank you for watching, and please be aware that just because they say they're good, and just because they have a badge of trust, and just because they claim that they graduated from Bible school, does not make them good people. And before I listen to anybody standing up in the pulpit, I would like to know that they're good. And I guarantee you that every single person that's come through this school that I've met in this building 126 and then 124, almost every single person, especially the people involved in this hacking and in this group, of about 20 or more people, every single person is just horrible scoundrels. Not even scoundrels, worse. The worst class of humanity I've ever come across. They're worse than criminals because they never get caught, and because they're supported by the church, they get to do whatever they want, and they push the boundaries, they push the levels, they push the extent of what they're doing all the time. They're always doing worse. They don't get caught, and then they're encouraged even more. They do something wrong again, they up the ante, and then they're encouraged even more because they don't get caught and nothing happens to them. It's like that rapist from what was that? There was a private school here in Sydney, and this kid was a 15-year-old kid, and he raped this girl at a party. And he was 15, she was 15, she was unconscious, he raped her, and then he got his friend to video it, and then they uploaded the video to social networking, and he was 15. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was drugged. They said she was drunk, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was drugged. I wouldn't be surprised if that kid heard some older people in the churches bragging about all the stuff that they do. I wouldn't be surprised if he got some drugs maybe from them, and he drugged the girl and then raped her when she was passed out. This is exactly what goes on in this community, in this cult. I call it a cult, and it happens all the time. Nothing happened to that kid yet. Twice he was supposed to go to court, and he was he was given an extension or whatever. I don't know what the judge said. He didn't have to show up because he was in another state. So he got his rich daddy to get the lawyer, and the lawyer said, "Oh, just leave state." So he went and left state and stayed with some friend's place, stayed at some friend's house, and or relatives or something like that. Nothing's happened to him, and time's gonna go by. Nothing's gonna happen to him. Is the girl that was raped gonna get any justice? After all, her friends saw the video of her being raped. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And then that pedophile, I think that scumbag here, this Sporto guy, I think he's a pedophile. Anything gonna happen to that kid? All right, anybody gonna believe his story? Does anybody care if he's scarred for the rest of his life? He's old enough to remember. He was 8 or 9 when I think he was 7 or 8, 9, around that age. 8-ish, I think. 9. He'll remember. So I think that's pretty horrible what goes on here. Not to mention guys like Van de Gould, who were caught for tax evasion, overseas tax evasion, on and on and on and on. He's an accountant. Van de Gould, Vandagould. He's an accountant, Anglican accountant here in Sydney, New South Wales. Got off, and then later on, after they let him off, the government let him off, and then the Liberal government under Mike Baird, gives him, I think it was, what was it, $264,000 or $364,000 back to pay for his court fees, and then after they gave him the money back, he is found guilty. So they let the case go because the federal police stuffed up somehow. Then they give him money for his court case, and then they find out it's ruled that he was in fact guilty, and that he was charged for his crimes. Some of the crimes, not all of them, some of them. And that's the way it is with this institution. They've got lots of power. They've got lots of political clout. They've got lots of money. So, and it's the Church of freaking England. That's the highest church in all of England. That's a church state. That's a state church. And here in Australia, it's very much like that as well. It's very much a church-state relationship between the Australian government and the Anglican church here. There's many people high up in the government are Anglicans. The Governor General, the former Governor General, I don't know what year, but he was involved in many sexual abuse cases, and he was an Anglican as well. He was a bishop, and this girl in one of the private schools, one of the Anglican private schools in Queensland, was raped for like a year by this crazy nutbag teacher, and she was sexually abused for like about a year, and her parents went to the bishop and asked for his help, and he wouldn't help her. He said, "Oh, I can't do anything about it." And later on, he became the Governor General of Australia. And that year, in 1991, when she was asking for help, he got Australian of the Year. Australian of the Year. He said no to helping this girl seek justice for being abused and raped while she went to an Anglican private school in Queensland. He turns his back on her, and then he gets Australian of the Year. And then he gets a position as Governor General of one of the highest position in the government here in Australia. So this is what I'm talking about, how power is abused and how the Anglican Church has a lot of power and a lot of clout. They don't care who they step on or who they hurt. They just get what they want at any cost, at any price. It's like a cult. I don't think it's a church. It's like a cult. I don't think Jesus has anything to do with it. I think it's just about them, power, money, and authority. And obviously, you can see that they've got access to the highest technical information and technical skills, so they can basically access any, I think they can access any surveillance system. My system didn't have wireless and Bluetooth, and they were accessing it. So it's easier for them to access something that's on the network. I think what they do is they do all this sinning, they do all these crimes, and then they point the finger at bad hackers. They themselves are the worst crackers on the planet. And then they're organized, they have support from rich people, they have support from the government, and I guarantee you that they travel overseas and they go to the States and they use these attacks over there too. So they're gathering information over there, and then they come back here, and then they share it with their rich Anglican friends. So they go over there and they see what people on Wall Street are doing, or they see what actors are doing, or they see what movies are being made, or they see what scripts are being played, and they can do this all by accessing your computer without you knowing, because they did it to me since 2013. So they access the computers, they get the data they want, they bring the data back here, and because it's international, nobody will say anything. And nobody's going to believe them. Nobody believes me. So nobody's going to believe you out there if you're a playwright and somebody rips off your play, or if you're a director and somebody rips off your idea, or if you invent, like I saw this invention on how to put out fire with sound waves. Well, that's a pretty nifty invention, probably worth a lot of money, but if they steal the idea before you can get it out, then it's their idea. It doesn't matter how much time and effort you put into it. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying is so bad about this backdoor. It's not healthy. It's not good for society. It's bad for society. It puts all the power and all the information into one group. It's into a totalitarian type of church-state relationship. So one group of people who know this backdoor secret, they get anything they want. They get any information they want. They get any data they want, and nobody can do anything about it. And that is an autocratic system. That is totalitarianism. That is tyranny. That is dangerous, people. If you think Nazism was bad, if you think Hitler was bad, Hitler didn't have anything like this. Hitler didn't have access to every single person. Now they have televisions that they want to have cameras in them with network access. So you've got a camera on your television pointed into your front house and easily hacked. They could access everything in your home. They could see everything you're doing on a 24-hour basis. So I think it's dangerous. I think it's really bad, and I think it's wrong. And I know it's happening. And I hope that other people wake up to it before they themselves are harmed by these malicious actors. So anyways, that's about all I have to say right now. So thanks for watching the videos, and have a good day.